There are two sources of inspiration that I can take. One is the natural resources that God has left outside. The beauty of flowers, the trees, creation itself. But also there's another part where masters in the past, they had already taken inspiration from the creation of God, and they have already implemented them in Islamic architecture, Islamic design. For example, the structures that we have around us, the grand mosques, the grand palaces that masters have designed, that can also be a source of inspiration, because not only can I see the connection of not only can I see the beauty of the creation of God, but I can also see how masters in the past expressed that beauty through their own art and artistic forms. My name is Mohammed Aziz. My ethnicity is from Bangladesh, and I was born and raised in London. I currently work as an artist and an art educator within East London Islamic schools and at the Princess School of Traditional Arts. Although I was born and brought up here, part of my education was in Bangladesh, and while I was studying my bachelor's in Islamic sciences, as part of the curriculum they had Islamic calligraphy or Arabic calligraphy as part of the curriculum. It was a mandatory course that we had to do, and they were teaching the Nastaliq script. That awoke my interest in art and design in general. Also, I used to see my brother, my eldest brother, when he used to come back from Bangladesh, he used to do very beautiful writing and art, and that also inspired me to start focusing on art and design. I started developing an interest in Islamic art specifically when I had finished my bachelor's in Islamic sciences, and I had a job at an Islamic school as a hifz teacher, someone who would teach memorization of the Quran. And as having a slight creative background in calligraphy, I was asked to teach the art and design curriculum at a secondary school. And I thought to myself, since this is an Islamic faith school, I wanted to teach Islamic art. So I started looking into it more beyond Islamic calligraphy. And some of the things I found was Islamic geometry, Islamic biomorphic designs. And that kind of focused me into studying Islamic art in general. Once I had started my MA at the King's Foundation School of Traditional Arts in 2018, I believe it was the interaction with my teachers over there, specifically my geometry teachers, that really got my interest in Islamic geometry specifically, because I saw a very big connection between nature and Islamic geometry, and it was connecting all the dots between what the Quran says about taking inspiration from nature. How I studied Islamic geometry was initially I started off with some open courses from artists such as Samira Mia, Sharmina Haq. They're on Instagram. They're a very big following. They've been teaching Islamic geometry for a very long time, and slowly I started practicing myself, and then I enrolled at the King's Foundation School of Traditional Arts in 2017. I got a seat in 2018, and between 2018 and 2020 I did my master's. And for my second year project I specialized in Moroccan zilij and the geometric philosophy behind them. I believe I create Islamic artwork specifically compared to other types of art, mainly because I believe it's a form of worship. There is a mindset that's created when someone is enriched in Islamic art. So long as someone is occupied with Islamic art, they are in the constant remembrance of Allah, whether that be calligraphy, which is the word of God, whether that be geometry, which is a representation of the creation of God, or whether that be biomorphic designs, which is also a representation of the creation of God. So I believe there's a worship element when it comes to Islamic art. The steps I would follow when creating a piece of Islamic art would be, I would need inspiration first. So I would need my source material, which would be a window from a specific mosque. It would be a wall from a specific palace, whether that be the Al-Hamra, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, whether that be the Sultan Ahmed in Istanbul. I need a source material. Once I get the source material, then will be the analysis. I do the geometric analysis, where it's trial and error, trying to find what process did the masters use in order to get to that specific pattern, to get to that specific design. Once that's completed, then I start the process of painting, which will be transferring the pattern onto the paper, making sure that the paper is correct, getting the paint, and then sorting through the colors, and then applying that color into painting. The ideas and themes that are important to me are consistency. They have to be representations of the creation of God, the creation of Allah, mainly because if it's not something that's done for a purpose, either then beauty, then I don't feel like it's important enough. I know a lot of artists are of the idea that it needs to be an expression of yourself, but I believe it needs to be an expression that shows gratitude towards beauty, that shows gratitude towards perfection, maybe. That's very, very important to me. I've chosen to use a variety of materials, mainly because while I was studying at the King's Foundation School of Traditional Arts, as part of our first year course, we have to go through quite a few different modules, working with glass, working with wood, ceramics, plaster carving, quite a few different types of materials, and they all express different kinds of different methods of how to express art. Some can be very rough, some can be very dangerous even while working with glass, some can be very therapeutic and very soft, like when working with plaster carving. I've mainly worked with, since I've graduated, I've mainly worked in the process of paintings and drawings, but when I get the time and the space, I will definitely like to work with other materials or get back to them, such as carving, whether it be wood carving, plaster carving, or even working with glass. The process I would take in creating an art piece would be finding a source material. So that would be with maybe a window in the Alhambra, one of the walls in Masjid al-Aqsa, one of the entrances to the Sultan Ahmed in Istanbul. Once I find my source material, then I would go through the process of analysis, specifically the geometric analysis behind a specific structure. How was it built? How was it designed? Is it threefold, fourfold, eightfold? And then with the analysis, making a drawing of the subject. Once I've completed the drawing and I'm satisfied with the process of how to get to that pattern, I would then transfer the pattern onto a paper that I can paint. Now, sometimes I would work on the paper from before, like I would size it with something, maybe cornstarch. I would stain it with maybe walnut or even pomegranate skin. And then I would go on the process of creating my color palette, whether that be the inspiration taken directly from the source material and using the exact same colors, or maybe doing some color testing and using a different set of colors, and then I would finish the painting process. A lot of the inspiration I take is actually from Istanbul. It's actually out of all the places, whether that be Granada, Cairo, Istanbul, this is one of my favorite places to visit. And alhamdulillah, I've actually visited it 3 times. And normally when people would go to Turkey as a tourist, they would go and like to do things that are very touristy. They would like to go on a boat, they would like to go on a certain ride or something. But when I went, I would go and search out, for example, the Rustam Pasha. It's a very small mosque compared to the rest. I would go and seek out the small, or I think the old Hagia Sophia, and the inspiration of colors from there are very, very unique. The Rustam Pasha, what interested me the most was how small it was, but how decorative it was at the same time. Their work, when it comes to Islami, that is based on Islamic geometry, was very, very inspiring. And also, I believe in Rustam Pasha they have a tile work on the outside where the artist has left a lot of small indications towards how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the cosmos, how each prophet, as they came, they actually came with a very specific message. As the leaves branch out, it's indication towards humanity itself. And that was very, very inspiring, because it's also actually in that mosque where I found the connection between taking inspiration from nature directly. When creating art, the ideal environment that I would require is something to be very calm and very steady. It's not an environment where I can have my children running around. So I mainly do my art either when my children have gone to their grandmother's house, or maybe when they're asleep. That's one of the only times that I can do it calmly, because the process of creating Islamic art is actually very sensitive. Whether that be Islamic geometry, when a line cannot be off by even a single millimeter, and also when it comes to the painting process, because some of the lines have to be extremely fine. So I do need a very calm environment to work in. I may be able to work outside, but it has to be in a situation where I know people won't come and disturb me, and it does need to be very calm. So during the process of creating art, I do believe it's a form of worship, because so long as someone is involved with Islamic art, they're in constant remembrance of God. There's a repetition process, which is also the meaning of dhikr. So the meaning of dhikr can be two. One can be repetition, one can be remembrance. Both of them can be found in Islamic art very beautifully. And it's also very, I wouldn't necessarily say calming, but it is something that brings me a lot of joy. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be meditative. It can be, but it definitely brings me a lot of joy, to the extent that sometimes when I'm not creating art for a period of time, I would remember, oh, I had time then and I was creating art. Maybe in the future I can do it again. It's something that I look forward to. Islamic art expresses the faith side of my identity very deeply. I see Islamic art all around me, not just in what people have created, but also within the creation of God. And there are a lot of different forms of worship when it comes to faith, whether that worship be through actual meditative worship, through prayer, through vocalization, or even through art. So that's one of the things that it is a very big part of my identity when it comes to Islamic art and the faith side of things. There is a very strong understanding within faith, whether that be through education, whether that be through artistic values. When a piece of art is created, or when a message is conveyed and it's done with spirituality, there's a certain barakah that takes place that's unseen. And I feel so that barakah is portrayed in there. It can be felt down to the smallest thing. For example, if I am to do a piece of calligraphy, maybe in the script of Kufi, because that's based on measurements more than it is based on the pen, Fatimid Kufi. If I am to draw the same piece of artwork twice, but one with wudu, with ablution, compared to one without, I strongly believe that the one I would do with ablution would have a certain barakah compared to the one that doesn't. And I feel so that does portray in the artwork when people come to observe, because that was done with spirituality. I believe the same way when it comes to cooking, for example. If someone is doing the dhikr, someone is reading Surah Yasin while cooking, there's a certain barakah in the food, compared to if someone's just not paying attention, they're doing it because they don't like to, the food does not have barakah. The same with artwork. The kind of spiritual change I've seen within myself after discovering Islamic art is that I find it to be, I know that so long as I'm involved within Islamic art, I mean, I can take that time rather than doing art, just sit down and do dhikr, or sit down and read Quran. But I am inclined, obviously reading the Quran is very important, and I'll make sure to do as much as I need to every single day, and doing my daily dhikr and adhkar. But I know if I'm involved in Islamic art, I know I'm not doing anything wrong. So long as I'm doing something that I'm supposed to do, I know I'm not doing something I'm not supposed to do. Because once the mind becomes idle, once I have nothing to do, that's when the shaitan will come and whisper in my ears, you have a lot of time now, you can do something you're not supposed to. But I know so long as I'm involved with Islamic art, I'm not doing something bad. There is a very big significance of Islamic art within the modern world, mainly because it is a very big part of our identity, definitely a very big part of our visual identity. Obviously, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started off, when he portrayed the message of Islam, it wasn't visual, it was mainly internal. But later on, as Islamic civilization grew and it got to the point of where we are now, visual Islamic art was a very big part, because people would change not necessarily change themselves, but they would make sure to act in a very certain way when coming to an Islamic environment. You know that so long as you're in, for example, a mosque, with the decorations and everything that it has, people would change the environment to make sure that they wouldn't use bad language, that they wouldn't get angry very quickly. It's a very sacred place. That part of our identity, I believe now, is people are losing it because we don't have the visual aids in order to show us. It played a very big part in Islamic civilization, which now unfortunately we are losing. The message that I want to convey to everyone through my work is that Islamic art, or art in general, is not a hobby. It's a form of expression, it's a form of worship, and it's a lifestyle. It's not something we can pick up and drop whenever we want. It is something that should be done continuously with all the other aspects of our lives, whether that be work, whether that be taking care of the household, bringing up children. Being creative in the Islamic arts is also very, very important. The first thing I tell students that come to learn Islamic art, I have two age ranges what I teach. One is the younger children that come to school, and one are the adults that come to learn at the on some of the short courses at the King's Foundation. First of all, the difference between them is the children that are at school, they don't want to be there. They're not interested, so I have to make them interested. So I give them, one of the first things that I tell them is, more or less nearly every single Islamic leader was a craftsman. They had some sort of craft, whether that be creating things out of iron, glasswork, wooden inlays. They had a craft. Whether that be making even weapons like bows and arrows, they knew how to do that. Whereas craftsmanship from our generation now is lost. Everything is either AI, computing. It's very simple now. And for students that attend the King's Foundation, one of the first things I tell them is that they are very lucky to be there, because not everyone develops an interest by themselves to learn art and design, or to learn Islamic art. So for example, two of the paintings that I did of the Al-Aqsa windows, they were designed in such a way that they wouldn't necessarily produce heat and cold, but they would give the expression of hot and cold. And that was mainly because in one of the windows they used a lot of red, and the other windows they used a lot of blue. So those colors, I tried to keep it as very close to the source material as possible. And sometimes I may take inspiration from nature and use a very specific color palette on any specific painting. I believe the future of Islamic art is getting brighter. So where we could have done a lot more, there is a lot of work to do, but we are going in the correct direction. People are familiarizing themselves with Islamic art a lot more. People are showing interest a lot more. People are also finding the correct resources, and also I believe resources are much more available now. Before, in order to pursue something in Islamic art, for example, a calligrapher, even just as recent as maybe 30-40 years ago, people would have to travel very, very far away to seek out a master. But it's become much more easier now, and I think it's just a situation of people just have to find the correct resources. So we still have a lot of work to do with Islamic art, but we are going in the correct direction.